All right, guys, we promised we would do a walkthrough and review of our 2025 SeaArk ProCat 240 and all the changes we made. So let's jump in. All right, guys, so you can see from the snaps on the side of the windshields, we did opt to get a factory full enclosure. We also opted for the upgraded windshield. Gives you a solid aluminum frame over the curved glass. We'll explain a little bit more about why we did that later on. Next thing we did, we got Wesley Mann over at Spread and Planer Boards to build us a 5-tube rocket launcher set to go right here in the track mounted system to hold our rods vertical, out of the deck, out of the floor, out of the way. And that keeps everything organized. Must have. To start off on the bow of the boat, we opted to go with the Garmin Kraken trolling motor paired with LVS34 Garmin LiveScope. One of the cool things with the Garmin is that your LiveScope cable runs up through the trolling motor shaft, so you don't have to worry about it getting snagged on anything and tearing stuff up. The first storage unit you're going to come up to on the bow of the boat is a large anchor locker. We have our life jackets, LiveScope box, small nets, miscellaneous things stored up here, but there's plenty of storage in the bow of the boat right here for your anchors, all of your Coast Guard required stuff. We'll jump back here to the business end of the boat. To power this 24-footer, we did opt to go with the Suzuki 250 Stealth SS. A little more low-end torque than your standard DF 250s. Helps get this big thing up and moving. To keep it under control, we opted to go with the Power Pole Total Boat Control 10-foot blades with the optional drift paddles. Make sure that no matter how the wind's blowing, we can keep the boat managed, keep it under control, keep it on fish. To keep our rods and all of our gear safe, we went with the MulTbar lights in the back on a 6x6 base. We did opt for a larger top tee so that we could run all 4 rods across the back with enough room to reel down on fish, which is kind of important. We like to reel down the set hooks before we pull the rods out of the rod holder, and we wanted to be able to keep all of our dragon rods up, easy to reach, and not have to go down to the track rails for those. So that's why we went with the MulTbars, SmackDown rod holders. Another thing that we got Wes with Spread and Planer Boards to do for us, he builds very nice planer board rack mounts to go on the back side of our MulTbars. Keeps planer boards right there in reach, easy to get, easy to store. They ride down the road. Keep your tools in storage, knives, pliers, everything ready to go right here at the back of the boat. Now, come up to the cooler for cut bait storage. We went with a 65 quart Arctic cooler. You can use about any cooler you want. One of the catches to that is you do have to run a 4-inch jack plate to have enough clearance between the engine and the back of the cooler to maintain your trimmability and have space to have a bait cooler. We did opt to put a short 23 extreme bait tank mounted here in the floor for when we're running live bait. As you can hear right now, we do have some live bait currently sitting in the tank. It's been in here for about a week, keeping it ready to go fresh and frisky for this weekend. And then the business end for all the tournament guys is the massive 80-gallon factory live well for all your trophy fish. It does come with a nice little splitter in the middle. Keep your eater sized fish nice and organized on one side so you don't have to chase them all over a big live well. Now on this side we do have 2 track mounted SmackDown rod holders with the SmackDown track bases for the SeaArk rail. Just to have those 2 extra there for when we're doing any kind of vertical suspending around the boat, if we're running more than 8 rods. With the way we have the boat set up, we can actually run 12 rods off the back of the boat without having to share rod holders. So that's been super convenient. On this starboard side of the boat, for net storage, we do have a SmackDown net holder in a SmackDown base. Keep our net stood up and vertical, out of the way while we're fishing. We don't leave the net head on it while we're trailering, but we do leave the pole for the net in the holder while we're trailering. On both port and starboard side gunnels with the ProCats, you do get a large rod locker on each side. We use it to store our bait rods, miscellaneous stuff, first aid kit, extra loose tackle we keep down in a tackle bag there. Plenty of storage for different species, different applications, different rods. All right, guys, as we move up to the helm, we have our jack plate right here on blinker trim switch, as well as the jack plate Atlas control gauge. We have our Suzuki Smart Hub there, shows all of the data for the outboard. Coming up to the electronics, we have a pair of 8612 Garmin's up here. As you can see, we've got one 3-way split for mapping, sonar, and downscan. And then our flush mounted console unit is strictly for side scan. Being able to set our graphs up in this orientation is one of the reasons, other than safety, that we wanted to go with this upgraded aluminum windshield. It gives us a little bit more space around the consoles over having that curved molded glass. And come down, we have the factory optional Fusion Bluetooth function radio with all of the factory mounted speakers. Tilt wheel, smooth move seats, super comfortable captain's chairs. All in all, for a helm, she's very comfy for a long day on the water. So on the port side console here, and what would be the passenger side, you do have a very large glove box for even more of your miscellaneous storage needs. It's a full arm's length in all directions in there. Underneath the console also gives you storage. SeaArk gives you this nice cargo net to keep things in place. We run Starlink on the boat to be able to live stream with you guys, so we do have an extra battery and charger up there, and that's where we keep those guys, is up under that console. One of the nice things SeaArk did was add a lock here on the walk-through windshield to keep that from flying open in the wind. Just latch it closed, open it up, snaps down in place. So if you want to leave the windshield open for the day, you can. You don't have to worry about the wind catching it and slamming it closed, busting that glass. All right, guys, moving up the space between the front deck and the consoles. One of the other things that we got Wesley to add was a lead step for tackle storage here. We keep a lot of our weights and other loose tackle in here. It helps make that step from down here on the floor up to that front deck a little easier. So easy, even the dog can do it. Then we come over here. You have the 2 side lockers here. Small storage space. It was raining, so our rain gear's not in here, but this is normally where we keep our rain gear and our washdown pump. We also opted to have the washdown pump hookups right here. Easy to flip switch. Everything's ready to go. There's also another storage compartment that is identical on the port side. Here in the front deck, you also have a secondary live well that could be used as a bait tank for people that want to hold bait for shorter periods of time. It does have very nice rounded corners to keep your bait from getting itself hurt. Shad are pretty notorious for red nosing. It's got rounded corners to help prevent that. Very nice feature that SeaArk added in these newer boats. Since Jamie and I always fish together, we do have a pair of the SeaArk branded Millennium seats here mounted on the front deck for days that we're live scoping. On the last boat, Jamie said she was tired of not having a seat. Now we have 2. Since we're talking about live scope, that's going to bring us to one of the last things we added to this boat. We rounded that out with a third 8612 Garmin unit to go up here and pair with our live scope. There's also a secondary GT56 transducer built into the Kraken. So if we need to do any scanning or imaging from up here, we can get active images onto this bow mounted unit from the trolling motor, live scope, or otherwise.
Richard forgot to mention is that with the upgraded windshield, it does have this awesome windshield wiper, and we also opted for the track mounted MulTbar with the SmackDown rod holders for the front when we have decided to either anchor up and fish with more rods, or we're doing some bait fishing up front where we're live scoping with rods up front, and then we have rods on the side that are fishing off the bottom. All right, guys, for our trailer, we have the Marine Master Deluxe trailer with surge brakes. It also has the Drado latch for easy loading and unloading, the fold-away tongue, And it even has the steps. So it makes me not have to jump up and down, and it makes it easier for us to reach the beach.
Before we get out of here, I do want to let you know, we got our boat through Bill's Marine in Skiatook, Oklahoma. It's quite a trek from Georgia, but those guys over there went above and beyond to take care of us. I can't speak enough about how well they made this feel easy to rig a boat to this level from 13 hours away. So if you have any boat needs, it doesn't matter where you are in the country, give those guys a call, especially for your SeaArk needs. I'm sure if you have questions or concerns before purchasing, they can take care of it. They did all of our electronics wiring, mounted the trolling motor, the power poles. They did a lot. So check out Bill's Marine, Skiatook, Oklahoma. Give those guys a chance. Not only do they deserve your business, but they will earn your business.
I know our boat isn't as pretty and spick and span as we want her to be, but she is waiting on her upcoming sea decking appointment. But this is our 2025 ProCat 240. If you guys have any questions at all, let us know, shoot us a message, comment, and we will answer as truthfully and to the best of our ability that we can, seeing as we've only had her on the water 3 times. Make sure to check out our other videos. Take care, God bless, love you later, bye.